All right, students. Today we are going to work a little bit with our rounding. What do you know about rounding? Yeah, have you worked with any rounding before? Perfect. So we can think of rounding like riding a bike up a hill, right? If the place value we are looking at is at a 4 or lower, we're gonna roll back down the hill if we're riding our bike up, right? But if the number we're looking at and the place value is 5 or greater, we're gonna make it over the hill and roll to the top, right? Yeah, so let's get started with rounding. So the reason we round is to make a number more convenient for us to deal with and work with, right? So say we have the number 27, and we want to make it a little easier to work with. We might round it up or down. In this case, we're going to round up to 30 to get a number that we can work with a little bit more and calculate with a little bit more. So our rule for rounding and our example we're going to use is this. So our first step is you want to mark your place. So today we are going to be rounding in the tens place. So that means, do you remember our ones and tens place work? Yeah, you're right. The number on the end here will be the ones place, and the number here would be the tens place. So when we round, whatever number we round to, the ones place is always going to be a 0 because we're focusing on the tens place. So back to our rules. Our first rule is we want to mark your place. So since we're rounding to the nearest 10, we're going to mark our tens place. So I put an underline under that 4 right there. Our next rule right here is look next door. So I'm going to look over at the ones place and look at what number is there. Can you tell me what number is there next to the 4? Show me on your fingers what number that is. Perfect, that's a 7. And then our final step is if it's 5 or greater, if the number we just looked at next door is 5 or greater, then we add one more. So we're going to add 1 to our tens place. So is 7 greater than 5? Show me with your heads. Is 7 greater than 5? Yes or no? Yes, you're right. 7's greater than 5. So now we get to round up and change our 4 to a 5. And remember our ones place is a 0. So we have 50. What would happen if our 7 was, if I scratched out our 7 and turned it to a 3? What would we do? Well, we'd still mark our 4 for the place, right? And then we'd look next door and we'd see what? We'd see a 3, yeah. And is 3 greater than 5? Yes or no? No, yeah. 3 isn't greater than 5. So then we'd stay where we're at. We'd keep our tens place the same at the 4, right? And what would we make our ones place? What do we always make our ones place when we're rounded in the 10 spot? Yep. We make it a 0. We make it a 0. Great job. Now, I want you to work on your own on your whiteboard with your own problems. So, I'm going to give you a number, or I'm going to tell you a number, and then on your own whiteboards, I want you to make sure you follow our rule. Mark your place, look next door. I'll keep it right here so you can see it. Follow our rule and figure out what number we would round this to. All right, you ready? So our first number is going to be 26. 26 is our first number. And I can write that down so you can look at it. 26 is going to be our first number. So remember to follow our rule here. Follow our rule to find out how we would round up 26 right here. How would we round that up? All right, I can see we got some good ideas. And did we follow our rule? Good. Yep, we marked our place. We looked next door, and what do you see when you look next door on 26? You see a 6, right? And then is 6 greater than 5, yes or no? You're right. 6 is greater than 5, so we would turn our 26 into what? 30. Perfect. Let's try 2 more practices on our whiteboard. So the next number I want to practice with is 81. 81. Let's try this one and see what we get. I'll write it down for you so you can see this one again. It's 81. Remember, we want to follow our rule. Mark your place, look next door, 5 or greater, add 1 more. All right, did we get an answer for 81? So we marked our place, we marked our 8, perfect. And then we look next door. What do we see when we look next door? A 1, right? And is a 1 greater than 5? No, 1's not greater than 5. So we know we're going to keep our tens place value the same, so we're just going to stay at 80, right? Perfect job. All right, this next one's a little harder. And here's the number we're going to work with. We're going to work with 115. Now, I know we didn't practice with numbers with 3 digits, but we're going to do the exact same rule. So here, where is our tens place at? Is this our tens place? No. Is this our tens place? Nope, that's our ones place. This is our tens place, so we're still just focusing on this number right here. This one's not going to change at all. We can ignore that one. So do our same rule and see if you can figure that out. All right, let's see what you got. All right, good. So Lassie, you were still able to follow our rule, which is perfect. So on this one, you're right. We mark our place, which is the tens place still. That doesn't change. We look next door at the 5. And remember our third rule. This is tricky. 5 or greater, add 1 more. So when it's 5, what do we do? Yep, correct. We round up still. Awesome. So that would give us what? It means we move our 10 place up 1 and we get 120. Awesome job rounding. Now we're going to play a little activity with a deck of cards. Have you ever played card games before? Yeah, they can be fun. So here's how we're going to play this. I'm going to split our cards up evenly. And each, there's a couple different, on cards, there's different numbers, right? So there's numbers from 2 all the way up to 10. And so you're going to pull a card without looking. And then we are going to, well, I guess it's 2 to 9, and we're going to combine the cards, and whatever number we get, we're going to have you pull for the ones place and you pull for the tens place. And then whatever number we get, we want to round that number. So we'll be able to find a rounded number from there. So let's do a practice. All right. So you're going to pull a 9 card for our ones place. And then we also got another 9 card for our tens place. So if we follow our rule, we mark our tens place, and we look next door and we see a 9, that's greater than 5, right? Then this has got to go up 1, and this is a tricky one, because now we're going to have to go at a 10 instead of a 9, since we're going up 1, so we'd get 100. That's a tricky one. So let's try again. So we'll pull a 2 and an 8 for the tens place. So we have 28 here. So what would we do here? We mark our tens place. We mark the 8, and we see, is 8 greater than 5? Yep. So then we'd round up to 30. Awesome. Let's try one more. So we pull a 3 for the tens place and a 1 for the ones place. All right, we mark our 3, and we're going to look next door. Is 1 greater than 5? No, 1's not greater than 5. So we round back down to 30. Awesome job. All right, you guys did a great job with rounding today as we're wrapping up our lesson here. I'm going to see if you can do this quick closing activity. So I'm going to give you a number that's already rounded. So I'm going to give you a number that I already rounded, and I want you to write down a number that could be rounded to this number. So we'll do an example. So if let's say I write 80. What's a number you could give me that would be rounded to 80? So what's a number you would give me that would be rounded to 80? So I can think here. I can go, knowing what I know about our rule, I can go anywhere 5 below or anywhere 5 above. So I'm going to say I could write down 78, and 78 would be a number that could be rounded to 80, right? So I'm going to give you a rounded number now of 70, and I want you to write down a number that you could have that would round down or up to 70, and let's see what you got. All right, let's see. I see a 72 and I see a 66. Yes, both could be rounded up to 70. And how did you know that? Exactly. Good job. You were able to use our rule to figure out what number could be rounded up to 70. Well, thank you guys for doing this lesson with me. You both did awesome, and I hope you learned a little bit about rounding.